Welcome back to the Global Business Report on Arise News. The North American box office is still in recovery mode from the impact of COVID-19. Reduced attendance and the impact of streaming services and other entertainment options have posed challenges to existing cinema chains. Is there a need for a shakeup in the revenue sharing model between studios and cinemas? Well, our next guest says yes, and we're joined live from Miami by the Chief Financial Officer of CMX Cinemas, Luis Castelazo. Luis, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. I wanted to start with business models. Your CMX cinema chains have included sports bars. Is that a conscious decision to get more revenue from moviegoers at your theaters?
That's correct, Brodus. We have included sports bars. What we're trying to do here is for people to have extra alternatives to just watching a movie. So in the past, obviously, we went beyond the popcorn, beyond the soda, have included, $40 steaks, alcohol, of course, but now we've moved into sports bars. And so the thought here is people who come to the movies will have a reason to stay afterwards, or will have a reason to come before. And actually, what we've discovered is that we're drawing people into the sports bars only, right? So people are coming to the sports bars and not necessarily to watch a movie. So it's an additional revenue stream that allows us to capture a little bit more revenue than only just from the movies.
Great stuff. So, Luis, is that the new normal for cinemas in 2021 and 2022? Extra attractions to shore up revenues lost out to the pandemic?
Yes. In the end, if we can't get enough people, what we can control is at least get as much revenue from each person that comes into our venue, right? So yes, we have to innovate and we have to find ways to get that extra revenue that we're missing out for the pandemic and for not having the normal amount of movies that we would have under a normal year.
All right. You published a pretty popular open letter where you made the case that film rentals, paid by cinema chains should be reduced. Can you help us define, film rentals and expand on how they're putting pressure on cinema chains' profit margins?
Absolutely. So, the way it works in the cinema world, it's pretty simple. The studios give us the movies, and they tell us you're going to pay us X percentage of the sales of the tickets to us because we gave you the movie. So in 1970, that percentage used to be 27, right? So that was a much lower amount. 2019, if you look at the publicly traded companies, it's 57% in the US. So 57% of every ticket that we sell goes to the studios. So we've had to make up revenue some other ways, and that's why we are innovating into bars and into restaurants and into offering all other types of things, because we have to make up for this lost revenue that we're sharing with the studios. Now, if the studios, instead of giving the movies to the movie theaters first, decide to send them to their streaming platforms, obviously there's a lot of people who won't go to the movies and watch the movies there. They will stay at home and they will watch them in the streaming platform. So what we would like to see is for the studios to say, okay, if I do that and you're being hurt, then we won't be charging you the 57% that we have charged you in the previous years. And what we call for is for that percentage to be lower, even as low as it was in 1970.
Great stuff. Now, your letter mentioned you would be in talks with movie studios and landlords over the rising film rentals. How are those talks? How are those negotiations going? Is there any progress?
Yeah, we talk with studios basically every single week. Whenever there is a new movie, it's a new negotiation. Every new movie, it's a new negotiation of how much film rental we're going to pay. So obviously those talks are ongoing, and I think everyone in the industry realizes that the industry has changed, and I think we have to evolve too and to look at new ways that can be a win-win situation for everyone,
great stuff,
including the guests.
Yeah, go ahead. Including the what?
Including our guests.
Gotcha.
Movies.
Gotcha. So we've got the new Ghostbuster film with Paul Rudd coming out this today. You've got, I think, a couple other new releases. How would you assess the U.S. box office in 2021, I guess, compared to 2020? Now, are you optimistic for 2022?
Yeah, 2021 versus 2020, we've already surpassed it. No big surprises there. But when we compare to 2019, we're still like 65, 70% below 2019. So that's obviously a big drop. Now, fortunately, every single month we've seen improvements, and we hope these improvements will continue further into 2022. A lot of the analysts who follow the industry believe 2022 will be below 2019. No? And I've seen ranges all the way from like 5% below to 30% below. I'd say the average that analysts are predicting are between 15 and 20% below 2019 in box office.
Great stuff. And so if that means that 2022 is not going to be quite where 2019 is, I guess that does then put more emphasis on the sports bars and the other alternative revenue streams for the new year. Is that right?
Absolutely. We need to innovate and to make up for that lost revenue.
Great stuff. Luis Castelazo, CFO, Chief Financial Officer at CMX Cinemas. Thank you so much for joining us on the Global Business Report. We appreciate your time.